Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. My name is Julian, and in today's episode, I'm going to be helping you guys make some pickups for this weekend to help you secure that win for this week, week 8 of the fantasy hockey season. Before we get started, guys, please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow me on Twitter at FantasyTipped. I'm constantly putting out updates to help you guys win your week each and every week, so be sure to do that. Now let's jump into the content, and let's start with some forwards that you can consider adding. Now let's jump right into the content and take a quick look at the schedule. So this weekend, I'm going to be covering Friday once again instead of just Saturday and Sunday like I have done in the past. So on Friday when this video comes out, there are 10 teams at play. On Saturday there's 20 and on Sunday there's 12. So there's a pretty good chance that you may not have room for at least a forward in your lineup on Saturday. So that's why I'm adding Friday to the mix, so you guys can maybe pick someone who plays both Friday and Sunday and get yourself a couple games like that instead of picking someone up for Saturday and Sunday and you not being able to fit them in your lineup on Saturday, right? So to me that makes sense. I have both options now. So let's start off with guys who play both Saturday and Sunday, and to do that you're going to have to pick up a player from the following teams: Chicago, Columbus, the Islanders, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, in order, the guys that I would pick up to get you some points this weekend for Saturday and Sunday games, number one for me would be Boone Jenner. He's only 36% owned, and he plays on the top line and top power play in Columbus and has been producing all year long. I honestly don't understand why this guy's only 36% owned. He's been doing very, very well this season. And second, I have Anthony Cirelli of the Tampa Bay Lightning playing as their second line center and also playing on that top power play. With all the injuries in Tampa Bay, Cirelli has a really increased role right now, and he's definitely someone that I want to be owning on my team if he's available. And third on the list is my Manscaped must-add player of the video, Michael Bunting. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code word FANTASYTIPPED. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code word FANTASYTIPPED at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence, guys, and always use the right tool for the job with Manscaped. Guys, the holiday season is right around the corner, so get your Christmas shopping done now at manscaped.com. Use my code word FANTASYTIPPED. You'll get 20% off, guys. You'll get free shipping, and you get that holiday shopping done now. So Michael Bunting of the Toronto Maple Leafs playing on a red hot top line in Toronto, definitely a good ad right now, especially for those back-to-back Saturday and Sunday games. Alex Kerfoot is another pretty good ad. He's been someone who's been able to put up points every now and then, and he's playing on a pretty good line on that Tavares and Nylander line in Toronto. Next I have Jonathan Toews and Hagel, and they both have a really good opportunity right now playing on the top line with Patrick Kane. I like Taves' opportunity a little bit more than Hagel's though, just because he's a better player, and also because he's getting top power play time, whereas Brandon Hagel's only getting second power play time. Both of them do have a pretty good opportunity on that top line though. Next I have Gustav Nyquist, who actually just got promoted to the top line with Boone Jenner and Oliver Bjorkstrand. That's a good place to be. He's not playing on either power play right now, but he has been able to put up points basically all season. He's been basically a point every 2 games or so. So playing on a better line, he should definitely be able to put up a point or 2 for you this weekend. Next I have Anders Lee and Anthony Beauvillier. They play on different lines, but they're guys, the Islanders have been pretty cold, but maybe they'll bounce back now that they've had a little bit of a rest due to those COVID pauses. So maybe they're going to be a lot better. We know how good Anders Lee and Beauvillier can be, so the upside is there. Just they haven't been producing this season. Next is Max Domi skating on the third line with Jack Roslovic and the second power play. So the deployment's not amazing, but he's been able to produce when called upon, so not the worst pickup in the world. Next I have Alex Barré-Boulet of the Tampa Bay Lightning, who's skating on the top line with Steven Stamkos. Is definitely a good place to be. He's also getting second power play time. So honestly, Barré-Boulet, not the worst pickup, and he's only 1% owned. So next I got Cole Sillinger, who's second line with Voracek and Chinakhov, and not a bad place to be at all. Also getting second power play deployment, so definitely someone I would consider picking up. Next I have Kirby Dach playing between DeBrincat and Strome on the second line, and Kubalik playing on the third line. Neither of them has really produced much this year, but the upside is there, the potential is there, so I have them on this list. Next I have Kyle Palmieri of the New York Islanders, and again, the Islanders have not been great this year, but maybe they'll be able to bounce back, and we all know how good Palmieri can be, so that's why I have him just on the end of this list. Next is Alexandre Texier, and I had him much higher on this list, and he's been able to produce this season. He's been about a point every 2 games or so, but he was just demoted down to the 4th line. So I'm not so crazy about him anymore, but he still makes for not the worst pickup if you're in a really deep league and you're really desperate. So if you want forwards that play Friday and Sunday instead, you're going to have to pick from one of these teams: Calgary, Edmonton, San Jose, Vegas, and Winnipeg. In order, the players that I would choose from these teams, number 1 would be Riley Smith. 49% owned, just made the cut for this list, and he's been playing very well, getting a lot of power play time, getting a lot of second line time with Marchessault and Nick Roy. Not a bad line at all, so definitely someone who is my number 1 add if you need some points for Friday and Sunday. And next I actually have Nicolas Roy of the Vegas Golden Knights, who's actually his line mate. So like I said with Riley Smith, definitely a good opportunity there for Nick Roy. Then I have Jonathan Dahlen of the San Jose Sharks. Good opportunity there with Couture and Meyer on the top line. Also gets a lot of power play time on the top power play. Dahlen is definitely someone who's a pretty good grab. Then I got Alex Barabanov, who plays on the second line with Hurdle and also sees a decent amount of power play on Hurdle's power play. Then I got Sean Monahan, who's been pretty cold lately, but he does still get time on Calgary's top power play, so I don't mind the grab there. The upside is there. Next I have Michael Backlund of the Calgary Flames playing on the second line with Blake Coleman and with Andrew Mangiapane. Not a bad place to be. He also sees second power play time, so he gets a good amount of ice time as well. So Michael Backlund, while he's not the flashiest guy, he's not going to get you a crazy amount of points. He's definitely a pretty safe pickup. Next I have Rudolph's Balcers of the San Jose Sharks playing second line with Hurdle and Barabanov. He doesn't really get any power play time, but just the line deployment is decent in itself. Then I have Paul Stastny of the Winnipeg Jets, who's on the third line right now, which is not the best place to be in Winnipeg, but he sees some power play time on PP2, so it's not the worst thing in the world for Stastny. Then I got Blake Coleman of the Calgary Flames. Like I said before, plays with Backlund and with Andrew Mangiapane. Again, not the worst deployment. He's a guy with a safe floor as well because he shoots and he hits a decent amount. Next, I have Cassian and Kaylor Yamamoto. Whoever ends up playing on the top line with McDavid for Friday and Sunday is the guy that I'm going to want to grab. So I'm going to pay close attention to the Edmonton Oilers practice lines the next couple of days, and whoever ends up playing on that top line is going to be the guy who I prioritize adding. I think it's going to be Yamamoto. Then I have Evgeny Dadonov, and he's not as valuable anymore now that, they're getting healthier in Vegas. So he's only playing on the third line right now. He's still seeing some power play time, so the upside is still there a little bit, but definitely not as valuable as he was just a week or so ago. Yeah, then I got Dylan Dubé, who's playing on the third line with Monahan and Pitlick. Not the best deployment, but Dubé's been semi-decent this year. Then after that, the pickings are just really, really slim. There's Fogle and McLeod on the Oilers. There's Svechnikov on the Jets, and there's Lucic on the Flames, but he's now playing on the fourth line. So really, there's really not any great options after that. Moving on to defensemen now, and the number 1 defenseman I would add for this weekend is Adam Boqvist, because he's now playing on the top power play in Columbus, and he's been playing very, very well. Plays Saturday and Sunday and is only 16% owned, so he's available in 84% of league. Then I would go for Rasmus Andersson of the Calgary Flames. He gets to play on the top power play in Calgary, which is very valuable and definitely has the upside for a point or two this weekend. Then I would go probably for Oliver Shillington, who's been very good all year round in terms of getting points. Doesn't really put up a whole lot of peripherals, but he's getting a lot of ice time and has looked very, very good this year. And then I would go with Nate Schmidt. Even though he's ice cold, he still gets to see a lot of power play time and therefore is still someone with the upside to put up points despite being ice cold right now. Next, I would go Vladislav Gavrikov, because he's bound to get you a point in 2 games. He's been putting up basically a point every 2 games this whole season, so that's a pretty sure thing. Then I would go Evan Bouchard, who gets to play PP2 in Edmonton as long as Nurse is out, so not the worst ad there as well. Then Eric Gustafsson, I have him as an upside play at 0% owned. He's actually manning the Chicago Blackhawks top power play. By no means do I think he's a great offensive defenseman, but he has produced in that spot before, so I don't mind the ad there if you're desperate. Then Noah Hanifin of the Calgary Flames sees power play 2 time and has been producing lately, so don't mind the ad there either. Nicholas Hague is someone who can produce top pairing defensemen. Mario Ferraro is someone who's not really there to produce offensively, but he does on occasion. Jake Bean is someone who mans PP2 in Columbus, not the worst play in the world at only 2% owned. And then Noah Dobson, his position on this list is not representative of his upside. If it was, he could be a top 5 guy on this list. But because the Islanders' power play has been so bad this year and he only has 4 points in 15 games, that's why I have Dobson all the way down at number 12 on this list. Now, if you want to stream a goalie for Sunday, the number one ad that I would make is Reimer or Hill, whoever ends up playing against Columbus. Pretty good opportunity for a win there. Then I would go Brian Elliott against Philadelphia, his former team. Definitely going to have some motivation to win that one. Then Joseph Woll of the Toronto Maple Leafs in Winnipeg. A tougher game, but Winnipeg's been pretty cold lately, so it might be easier than you think to get the win, assuming he does get the start, right? Because a lot of these guys, they will get the start only if they don't end up playing on Saturday, right? Because a lot of these guys I only have listed here because they have back-to-back set. Then I have Kevin Lankinen, and he may end up getting the start against the New York Islanders or end up getting the start on Saturday. So make sure you end up seeing who actually gets confirmed for the start before you go picking anybody up. Then I have Jonas Korpisalo against the San Jose Sharks for the Blue Jackets. Martin Jones against the Tampa Bay Lightning because Philadelphia has a back-to-back set Sunday and Monday. So Martin Jones is either going to get Sunday or Monday. And then Jonathan Quick or Calvin Peterson, whoever ends up starting against Edmonton. The reason to have them dead last is because Edmonton has a deadly offense, not a high chance of winning, and not a high chance of getting a good save percentage either. All right, so jumping now into the categories league section of this video. And the first section is going to be talking about shots on goal. So if you need to catch up on shots on goal or you're ahead by very little and you want to maintain your lead in this category, well, this is the list that you need to look at. The first guy that I would go after is Riley Smith, who is also my number one guy for points. He shoots on average 3.3 times per game. So if you can get him for 2 games, that's going to get you 6 or 7 shots on goal, hopefully, which is pretty good. Then Boone Jenner, who shoots 2.8, Blake Coleman, 2.8, Evgeny Dadonov, 2.8, Anders Lee, 2.6, Wallstrom and Palmieri, 2.5, and Evan Bouchard, the defenseman, 2.4. All of these guys are guys from teams that I listed before, and all of them play 2 games either Friday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday. Now, what happens if you need blocks? Mario Ferraro is by far the number one guy that I'd go after. He's super consistent, but he's 27% owned, so he's not necessarily owned in your league. He blocks on average 3.1 times per game. Then Chris Russell, who doesn't have a huge sample size, but he's been blocking on average 3 shots per game, which is great, and is only owned in 1% of leagues. Then Braden McNabb and Zach Whitecloud of the Vegas Golden Knights. I have McNabb above Whitecloud because he has a much bigger sample size than Whitecloud, but both have been blocking shots. Connor Murphy, 2.2 blocks per game. And Scott Mayfield at also 2.2 blocks per game. If you need hits, the number one guy has got to be Cal Clutterbuck. He averaged almost 4 hits per game last year, and he's averaging over 4 hits per game this year, averaging 4.3, which is absolutely awesome. So definitely the guy you want to add for 2 games. Hopefully he'll get you 8 or 9 hits, which is absolutely fantastic. Matt Martin's very similar. 1% owned, is averaging 4.2 hits per game. Reese Johnson and Jujhar Khaira of the Chicago Blackhawks are averaging some pretty high hit totals as well. And then there's Zach Cassian, who's averaging 3.2 hits. And if he ends up playing on the top line with McDavid, not the worst ad. Now what happens if you need to catch up or maintain that lead in face-off wins? The number one guy I'd grab is Boone Jenner, winning almost 12 face-offs per game. Then Jonathan Toews winning 11.3. Nicolas Roy, 8.4, although I didn't take his full season sample because at the beginning of the season he wasn't playing center, so I only took his last 12 game sample, and he's been winning 8.4 faceoffs per game on average, and actually won 19 faceoffs in his last game, which is absolutely insane. Michael Backlund, 7.4, David Camp, 7.3. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. Please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I hope you guys really enjoyed the content today, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.